It's the Fix California Hour on the John Phillips Show on this Jimmy Buffett Friday. Johnny's on vacation, but he's back on Monday. It's Randy Wang here, and the phone number to join us is 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. You can email us at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Search for the John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. And check out my new Substack. I'm calling it the California Report, where I am posting all the videos that we talk about on this show from all of our local stations. You can see it, you can check out the videos, and you can share them on social media. So check out my new Substack, subscribe, and it'll go right to your email every day before the noon to 3 show starts. randywangradio.substack.com, randywangradio.substack.com. You can meet our next guest in person a week from today, as we'll be broadcasting from Gladstone's in Long Beach on Friday the 6th from noon to 3. And we're going to be there with our friend Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association and co-host of the Howard Jarvis Radio Show Tuesday nights on KABC and KSFO. Oh, I think this Tuesday y'all are on at 3 o'clock, right? Because of the basketball game?
That could be. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but you're probably right.
So check out the Howard Jarvis Radio Show at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, right after this show. Susan Shelley, welcome back to the John Phillips Show.
Thanks so much, Randy. Great to be with you.
So let's get right into why we need to protect Prop 13 and what has happened. Tell us what exactly courts have done when it comes to these things that are called citizens' initiatives and how they have changed the threshold for how many votes you need to get a tax hike approved on the ballot.
You're exactly right. What's happened here is that the part of Prop 13 that keeps your other taxes from rocketing up has been attacked by the courts. Prop 13 holds your property taxes down for as long as you own your property. It capped the tax rate at 1%, and it said your taxable value can't go up more than 2% a year for as long as you own it. But to prevent the other taxes from being raised in response, Howard Jarvis put other protections in Prop 13. One of them is when a special tax is proposed, it must go on the ballot, and it must be approved by a 2/3 vote of the voters, of the people. And the courts have said since 2017 that there's a giant loophole in this. If the tax increase is proposed by a, quote, citizens initiative instead of by the city council, the identical tax goes on the ballot but doesn't need a 2/3 vote. It passes with 50% plus 1 vote. And as a result, this loophole has allowed special interests to write their own tax increases, direct all the money to themselves, pay to have the signatures collected to put it on the local ballot, and then they evade the 2/3 vote requirement. And taxes will go up after every election.
And it's very obvious what is going on here, because even though they're called citizens initiatives, we know who are really behind these tax increases. Look what happened in San Diego, where the city of San Diego and the county of San Diego both put tax increases, sales tax increases on the ballot in 2024, and they were both defeated. So what are they doing this time? A union is proposing a citizens initiative, so that way they can get passed with a 50% threshold instead of 67% threshold.
Exactly right. And it's happening in Los Angeles right now. In the city of LA, the firefighters union is collecting signatures for a sales tax increase that will take the city sales tax from 9.75% to 10.25%. And it will do that with 50% plus 1 vote. Now, why should the firefighters union have to go out and get its own tax increase? Why isn't the city council funding the fire department? Well, they're not funding the fire department because they can use this loophole, and they can get the firefighters to pay for this signature collection, and then they can have a half-cent sales tax increase. And because if they put it on the ballot themselves, they might not be able to get it passed.
Well, exactly. And then there's no stopping the city council if that tax got passed from then taking all the money they were going to spend on the fire department, spend it on something else, because now they have a dedicated funding source. So is it really going to mean more fire trucks? Maybe, maybe not.
Exactly. And what we have is an irresponsible city government, and this is just one more way that they can take advantage of the taxpayers. And we have to stop this. You know, the sales tax went up for the homeless industrial complex with this method. with a citizens initiative half-cent sales tax increase in November 2024. It is pulling $1 billion a year out of the pockets of people in LA County in higher sales taxes. And where is the money going? To exactly the same people who were not solving the problem with their six-figure salaries and their NGOs and all of the rest of it. It's going to the people who wrote the tax increase, and nobody can do anything about that.
Well, some of it went to that fraudster that was giving ramen noodles to Karen Bass's hotel guests while he was putting his kids through private school and buying a very expensive home.
And a very nice car, a $125,000 Range Rover with your sales tax dollars. So we have to close this loophole. And this initiative will do that.
Isn't it funny? Measure A, the one that you referenced, the doubling of the homeless tax that did pass. And again, it passed by a simple majority thanks to the loopholes that have been taken, that have been put through Prop 13, thanks to the courts, is that when the original homeless tax, Measure H, was pitched to us back in 2016, and you had Eric Garcetti out there, hat in hand, and the Board of Supervisors saying, we need this temporary tax so in 10 years we can eliminate homelessness. They got their tax money. They also got one from the city called Measure Triple H, and homelessness went way up. They decide 10 years later, when this tax is about to expire, to not only extend it, but extend it indefinitely. This is now a permanent tax, and we don't know where any of the money is going, and there is no goal of ending homelessness anytime soon.
Well, really what's sad about this is the people on the streets are being monetized for the people who are getting the funding from these taxes. And it's almost like just the head count is all that matters. You make the contact, you sign up the name, and now the organization gets paid. And who helps the people who are on the streets? Well, that defeats the purpose because then there wouldn't be any money. So this is really a horrible scam. And it has to be stopped, but it's hard to stop it. There is a way to repeal local taxes. Under a 1996 Howard Jarvis proposition, Prop 218, you can do an initiative to repeal or reduce any tax or fee at the local level. And the signature threshold is lower than typical for a local initiative. So that's something that can be done. You can repeal these taxes if you take a look at it and say, this was a mistake.
We're speaking with Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association. Now, these taxes obviously make things more expensive, but in Los Angeles specifically, there was a tax that was put on the ballot through a citizens initiative in 2022 called Measure ULA, which was sold to voters as the mansion tax. It ended up being a tax on any property sold or transferred worth more than $5 million, which includes commercial properties, includes multifamily apartment buildings. And Susan, since this tax was enacted, it has effectively destroyed construction in Los Angeles.
It sure has, because now when you start to do the math on whether a new project will pencil out, you have to figure in that when you sell it, you're going to lose 5.5% if it's over $10 million. And it's not too difficult for a large apartment building to get over $10 million in Los Angeles. So in the city, it has pretty much frozen development because the financing is affected and all of the math is affected. So you can go to Burbank, Glendale, Long Beach, Calabasas. You can go outside the city of Los Angeles and not have to deal with that mansion tax and still be in the region. There are 88 cities in LA County, and only one of them has this tax. So it's been very destructive to Los Angeles. But this is another one. It was written by the special interests that directed the money to themselves, to their own interests, and they are fighting very hard to keep it. So that's not a good situation. This is a dumb system that no one would have approved if it had ever been put to the voters to say, do you want to do it this way? No one would have said yes. But the courts did this to us, and we have to reverse it.
And what's funny about Measure ULA is Karen Bass and Nithya Raman from the LA City Council know how toxic this has become and how awful it has been for encouraging development in the city of Los Angeles, that they are trying to change it. They want to get something on the June ballot to change it, and the special interests shut them down and said, no, you are not.
Well, they paid for their tax increase. They want it. It's their own personal tax increase. They collected the signatures. They paid the bills for the campaign. They want their money, and they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep it. So this is not a fight between the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and Nithya Raman and the mayor. This is a fight between Nithya Raman and the mayor on the one side, and these special interest groups on the other. We want to repeal the tax altogether.
Yes, we do. We're speaking with Susan Shelley. She's the columnist for the Southern California News Group, host of the Howard Jarvis Radio Show, and you can meet her in person at our big live event next Friday at Gladstone's in Long Beach. The website is saveprop13.com. You can do it ahead of time. You can print out the petition. You can send it in, get 10 of your friends to do it as well, because, Susan, you need those signatures by February 17th, correct?
That's correct. We have to turn them into the counties. Our last legal day to turn them in is February 25th, so we need them by the 17th. But if you come to Gladstone's next Friday in Long Beach, you can bring your petitions to me, and I'll pay the postage for you. So just drop by and give them to me in person.
Now, I've got to imagine it's got to be tough in this specific election year to even keep track of how many proposed tax increases at the local, the county, and the state level we are looking at, including one in the Bay Area, which would be a 5-county regional sales tax increase, a half cent for every county except for San Francisco, would be a full cent to bail out the transit agencies. What happened here, and how did these transit agencies operate before this?
Yeah, well, they've got enormous expenses, and they've got huge labor costs, and they don't want to cut any of that. They don't want to make any kind of reasonable cuts to match the ridership. So what they want to do is keep full employment at highest possible wages with the highest possible benefits and raise taxes to pay for it. So during COVID, of course, ridership went down. I don't think it's fully recovered yet, and even at that, I don't think it's as high as it was. Well, certainly in Los Angeles, it's lower than it was when Metro was just a bus route. When Metro was just a bus system in the 1980s, it had more riders than it has now with the billions that have been thrown into all of these trains. So in the Bay Area, they have these huge expenses, and they have all the capital expenses of building it out, and then they have the operating expenses of keeping it running, and the math isn't working, and they just don't want to make any cuts. So they're coming to the taxpayers for more money any way they can get it.
It sure seems like a short-sighted way to solve all your budget woes, which is something we're seeing in the city of San Diego, where they have a big budget deficit, so they are taxing and feeing every possible way, raising trash fees, raising water fees, charging for parking at Balboa Park. It seems to be finally a blowback where the citizens have had enough, and they are speaking out, and in fact, a proposed second home, vacation home, short-term rental tax just got defeated in committee out there.
Excellent. And I've heard that there's going to be an initiative to repeal the trash fees, which is a good idea. So this is very important that people understand that these taxes can be reversed with a citizens initiative. A lot of people don't know that. You get your ballot and it says this tax will continue until ended by the voters. But they don't tell you how the voters can end it. And the way you end it is with a flat repeal in an initiative. You collect the signatures for it. You need 5% of the total number of votes for governor in the last general election. That's the signature threshold, which is low. And if you do that and you put it on the ballot, people can repeal these taxes.
We're speaking with Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association. You can meet her in person. You can meet me and Johnny in person at Gladstone's in Long Beach next Friday from noon to 3. Now, Susan, I got to get your take on the nonsense that I heard this week at the LA City Council. So the City Council is facing another budget deficit. They're coming out with all kinds of things that they're thinking of putting on the June ballot to solve that budget deficit, including increasing the hotel tax, which is going to make it even more difficult for the hotels to operate within the city, and it'll make it even more competitive for the outside cities. But they also have this idea where there are a lot of illegally operating pot stores and pot growers in the city of Los Angeles. And apparently, what the city of LA's biggest problem with those illegal businesses is that they're not paying taxes. So they want to put something on the ballot in June, which will make it okay for the city not to shut down these illegal businesses, but to bill them for their business taxes. Do you think this is a prudent way to have the city of LA get out of their financial woes?
How do you tax an illegal business? What do you threaten to take away from them? How do they do that?
It doesn't make any sense. Nobody has thought this through. Apparently, according to the city's own admission, it is nearly impossible for them to shut down an illegally operating pot store.
If they can't shut it down, they can't raise taxes on it. This makes no sense at all. They're also looking, I think, at a hotel tax increase, a parking tax increase, and then they've got the unions are out there trying to get higher taxes on businesses if they pay their CEO too much. That's another one of these citizen initiative tax increases, that they want to put an additional gross receipts tax on businesses in Los Angeles. When you do that and the businesses leave, revenue goes down. Sales tax revenue goes down. Hotel revenue goes down. Everything goes down. And then they want to raise taxes again. They need to all go to school and take one economics class. And I think that might fix the problem.
Well, and of course, we cannot talk about taxes in the state of California without talking about the impending doom that is the SEIU collecting signatures for the proposed wealth tax, or the asset confiscation tax of billionaires, that because of the way it was written, whether this is legal or not, that it would be retroactive to January 1st, is already chasing billionaires out of the state of California. How much of a problem is this going to be for California's budget?
Well, it would be a huge problem if it were to pass, or even just chasing people out before it qualifies. It's going to reduce income tax revenue. Because according to the Department of Finance, in the most recent fiscal year, 1% of tax filers in California paid 45% of the personal income tax that went into the Treasury. So if they leave, it's a big budget hole, and it will affect everything, including education, which is based on a percentage of the general fund, the revenue that comes into the general fund. So that's a big problem, but it's an even bigger problem down the line, because the whole idea of a wealth tax is that they're not taxing your income on the way in or your sales tax on the way out. They're looking at what you have, your equity in your house, your retirement accounts, your investments, your grandmother's silver, a painting that you bought on eBay that turns out to be a real Van Gogh. Whatever you have, they're going to value that. Now, what kind of bureaucracy is needed to do that? What kind of paperwork are we going to have to fill out to establish that we're not billionaires? And you have to report everything you have, and then they know where the money is. And then the next step is the wealth tax is on the middle class. So it's an extremely dangerous idea. There's never been a tax like this in the United States, and for good reason. And if it starts in California, we will not be able to stop it.
And this is just more and more reasons why we need to do everything we can to strengthen Prop 13. So go to the website, saveprop13.com. If you've already filled out that petition and sent it in, get your friends, get your family. If you can get 10 people to do it, we need the signatures by February 17th, and you can bring them in person to Gladstone's in Long Beach. I'll be there, Johnny will be there, and Susan Shelley will be there as we broadcast live, making sure everyone is aware of what we need to do to protect Prop 13. Susan Shelley, thank you so much for coming on with us, and I'll see you next Friday in Long Beach.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Randy.
Thanks so much for coming on with us. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. Let's go to Dan in Linwood. Dan, hello.
Yeah, I had a friend years ago that was a numbers guy, had employees. He closed his business. He went and he became a councilman in Orange County City. And he started looking at the firemen's numbers. This is why I'm calling, do not vote for this firemen's bill, because what he discovered was he made a suggestion. Hey, we got a lot of overtime here, and we're paying these guys $90,000 a year, but we're actually paying about $180,000 a year. And he started looking at it. It became clear that they were switching time cards to increase the maximum amount of overtime they got. So next thing you know, the next council meeting, there's several hundred firemen there, and the main guy from the National Firefighters Union was there doing the Jimmy Hoffa routine on them, right? Real threatening. So finally, my friend says, hey, dude, enough with the Jimmy Hoffa stuff, okay? I'm just trying to save the city some money. If we hire 3 firemen, we can totally get rid of all this overtime, right? It was 3 or 4. Anyway, next thing you know, they recall this guy. They spend millions of dollars recalling this guy.
I am not surprised at all. Dan, we're out of time, but thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. Johnny's back on Monday, and a week from today, we're going to be live at Gladstone's in Long Beach. Friday, February 6th from noon to 3, we're going to be in Long Beach at Gladstone's. It is gorgeous down there, right there on the water. It's our next live broadcast. We want you to come out. There's going to be great food, good vibes, and a fun afternoon by the water. You'll have special guests like Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association. She'll tell you more about your taxpayer rights and protecting Prop 13. As we have been telling you, we just told you for the last 20 minutes, the courts have made it easier to raise your taxes, so we need you to come by and sign the petition to save Prop 13. By the way, during that segment, I saw a call come in. She dropped off, but Elaine apparently has collected 300 signatures. That is awesome, and we really appreciate it. Come hang out with us, grab a bite, and be part of the broadcast. It's going to be so much fun. If you've never been to Gladstone's in Long Beach, John Segmeister is awesome, and he's going to take care of you. We'll be there, Gladstone's in Long Beach, next Friday from noon to 3. By the way, I have launched a new Substack companion for this show. It is the home edition of the game that we're playing here every single day, where I am posting a curated list of all the videos that I have flagged for this show up and down the state of California, all the local news stories. You can check that out by going to randywangradio.substack.com. Subscribe for free, and you'll get it in your email every single day. And then you can watch these videos, you can share them, you can comment on them, and we can get them out into the ether because not enough people are paying attention to what's going on in the local news. It's the whole mission statement of this show. randywangradio.substack.com and download today's California report. Let's go to Paul in San Francisco. Paul, hello.
Yes, I'm a former Muni operator, retired union member, regular listener to your show. Your guest talking about Proposition 13 was talking about the wages and benefits given to transit operators. Well, that's the cost of doing business. These are union negotiated contracts. Driving a bus or operating streetcar, whatever, in San Francisco is very difficult because of terrain and the density. And you're not going to get good operators unless you pay a reasonable wage. And they have trouble recruiting people as it is at that wage. So you get what you pay for. You try to scrimp on that, it's going to be more dangerous for everybody involved.
Oh, I think you make a strong point there. I think there might be some other salaries in administration that might be a little bit of a murky mess where how much money are we wasting on that kind of overhead? But yeah, we want to make sure that we're getting the best people possible to be operating these buses or trains. We don't want a situation like popped up last year where that woman fell asleep operating the Muni train.
Yes, you got to remember, too, some operators have 12-hour days. You come in at 7, you get off at 7. So I'm not making excuses for anybody's behavior, but I'm saying it's a difficult job. You get paid for it, but it's a difficult job.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Paul. Appreciate it. Hey, phone lines are open for you on any opinion that you've got on the things that we're talking about on this show. 800-222-5222. I'm a big fan of Waymo. Waymo had a big announcement today. They are expanding to SFO. They already expanded service to San Jose Airport a few months ago. And now, starting today for a select few, you can use a Waymo at SFO. For more on this, let's go to KPIX in the Bay.
So last night we were talking robots taking over Tesla's Fremont factory. Tonight
Oh, yeah. Did you hear that one? The Tesla Fremont factory, which produces the Model S and the Model X, is changing its operation, and now it is going to be 100% focused on manufacturing robots. The future is here, kids.
Tonight, it's robo-taxis expanding their reach. Waymos seem to be everywhere these days, at least if you're in the right city. But there is one place that you couldn't get to until today, if you're in a certain group. Waymos will now shuttle you off to SFO or get you close for now. Pickups and drop-offs will start at the airport's rental car center, but there are plans to expand those locations and expand who can access these rides.
And that's got to be difficult for the Waymos to learn because there is such bad driving at the pickup and drop-offs of every single airport. Also, when you're unloading your baggage, how do you tell the Waymo, hey, don't leave yet? My luggage is still in the back. But I'm so excited about this. I was a doubtful person when it came to Waymo the first time that I saw them in San Francisco 2 summers ago. Because it's a wild thing. And it was still fairly new. So, every time you see them, everyone's taking videos. But when I got in, and my wife and I took one from our Hilton Hotel at Portsmouth Square to Golden Gate Park, it was great. It felt like it drove better than me. In fact, it's such a patient driver. We're in Chinatown, and we're going like 5 miles an hour behind a bicyclist who is definitely in the center of the lane. And it's like, yeah, okay, this is just what we're going to do. I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of Waymo, and I'm excited that they're expanding into Southern California. They say they're coming to the Valley soon. If that could happen, it'd be great. By the way, if it was affordable, and I can make it work. Eventually the whole point is this technology is supposed to expand. If it was affordable enough for me to do it on a daily basis, I would consider taking a Waymo, even though I have a car, from my house to this radio station, because I could get a lot of work done sitting on my laptop, sitting in the back, instead of sitting in the front of the car and contemplating all of my life decisions, like why I bought a home in the San Fernando Valley.
Our Andrea Nakano caught up with some riders who are excited about it, while others are worried if the autonomous cars are simply not ready for busy airports.
Only a select few riders got the chance to Waymo to SFO on Thursday, but those that did had rave reviews.
I just want to say it's amazing. Very exciting to be on this Waymo car.
By the way, I do love my Lyft drivers. I usually use Lyft because I've got a 5X points deal with my Chase card. And I tip very well, but it's weird. Do you remember how when the rideshare services first started, the whole thing that made them different than the taxis was that you didn't tip, that was all built into the cost because the driver was getting so much of that money? Well, their pay has been devalued and devalued and devalued that now most of the money they're getting is from tips. And let me just say, those Lyft Black rides to LAX for my little plane to Santa Fe are getting really, really expensive. I'll still pay it, but oh my. I mean, when you have the automatic tip set at 25% and your Lyft ride is like $150, at least I'm getting 5X points on it. But oh boy, do those hurt.
Waymo says they'll be welcoming all riders in the coming months. At this point, the Waymos will take you to the SFO rental car center. Then riders will have to get on an air train to get to the terminal.
I mean, it's something.
They're pretty cool concept. If you're coming from a long flight, you don't want to talk to anybody in the Uber or Lyft, I'd say that's a good choice to do.
While there are many like Carl Penny who are excited about Waymo.
And I don't know how it works at SFO, but gosh, when you fly into LAX, just trying to get to where you get picked up. By the way, this is the thing with LAX. If you are paying for the regular level of rideshare, regular Lyft, regular Uber, you got to hoof it all the way down to the LA exit lot, which is a nightmare and a half. But if you pay for Black, you can get picked up at the curb. Which curb is usually confusing. And when you're navigating and trying to see, no, is that the Chevy Suburban? No, it's that Chevy Suburban. No, it's that Chevy Suburban. It can be a little confusing. It's loud. There's honking going on. They get you on the phone. They're trying to tell you to go to 2G. G, not E. It's a nightmare. I don't know if it's going to be easier with Waymos, but maybe. I mean, if there's just a constant fleet of them, maybe it will.
While there are many like Carl Penny who are excited about Waymos coming to SFO, others are worried about the addition of autonomous cars. And it's not just because the service threatens their jobs.
I wasn't surprised, but I am concerned.
Mark Gruberg has been driving taxis for roughly 40 years. He says if Waymos are eventually allowed to go directly to the terminal, he sees major problems in the future.
Well, until it's all robot cars. The problem with robot cars is the human element. We take that out, this thing's going to run real smooth.
Any one car can paralyze the airport entrances and exits if it's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And these vehicles have not shown that, in my mind, they have not yet shown that they are capable of handling places as busy and crazy and sensitive as an airport.
Gruberg also...
I mean, they are doing it at San Jose, but yeah.
Gruberg also worries about Waymos operating at higher speeds on the highway. And with the airport, he says without a driver behind the wheel, he wonders what would happen if there was ever a cyber attack or a terrorism threat.
Or PG&E power outage, because Waymos were stranded on the streets of San Francisco back in December when that happened. And it's an evolving technology.
It's a tremendous difference having a driver in the car because the driver, can smell out some problem that's in the making.
Yeah, but drivers can also get mad. So let's not act like drivers are all everything that's cracked up to be. Road rage is a thing. You can't piss off a Waymo, even if you set it on fire. Although I do feel that they have that stored in their memory banks, and when they're going to turn on us, it's not going to be pretty.
And very possibly stop it from happening.
Waymo, though, says going to and from SFO is one of the most requested rides on their platform. Co-CEO Takedra Mewakana said in a statement, with millions traveling in for major events this year, we look forward to meeting the growing demand for reliable, fully autonomous rides. We are proud to offer a service that is improving road safety in San Francisco and providing a magical start or end to Bay Area journeys. While there are already many transportation options to get to the airport.
Yeah, this is in LAX, where you have a train that doesn't have a people mover. So getting to that train is kind of difficult. The train, once you get out of the airport, doesn't take you to a whole lot of places. It's a little different than SFO.
Penny feels SFO could use another addition.
San Francisco is a pretty busy place, especially the airport. I've seen thousands of people coming and going throughout the days. It's definitely needed.
SFO is not the only first airport in the Bay Area to get Waymo access. San Jose International opened up to Waymos last November, also giving the robo-taxis freeway access. Phoenix Sky Harbor was the first airport in the country to offer Waymo service.
I think LA is going to be the last one. That'll be, if there's one airport where nobody knows how to drive properly, it's LAX. Let's go to Cardi in Lancaster. Cardi, hello.
Hey, Randy, how you doing?
Doing great.
Once again, my 2 cents. Waymo, job killer for taxi drivers. One more group of people that will be eliminated, sir. What do you think?
Oh, I think you're totally right. And it's interesting that the rideshare companies that were the original threat to taxi drivers that became this whole new category of job for anybody. What have the profits from all those rideshare companies for the past 20 years have been going into? Funding this research, funding this technology. This is the way we're going. I mean, yes, it's going to be a job killer, but so are a lot of different things coming soon. That being said, I like the experience. I like the robot car. Not everyone likes it. I like the robot car.
Yeah, that's why every young man should take a trade, and you'll never be out of a job. Thank you.
That is a really important point. Thanks so much for the call, Cardi. Appreciate it. Plumbers will never not be in demand. HVAC will never not be in demand. The robots can take away a whole lot of jobs, but if you're a tradie, like the Australians say, I learned that from Love Island, Australia. If you're a tradie, you're going to be with job security for the rest of your life. Now, me, I'm sure it's only just a matter of weeks before the AI bots can do this, what I'm doing right now and broadcasting to you on the radio. But are they going to know when exactly to play the Katie Porter drop?
No!
It's not all good news for Waymo, although this is a story and it's a specific example of why you can't just look at a headline and react. You've got to read the story, or if it's a video, you got to watch or listen to the story. Because if you just react to the headline here, Waymo hits a child in Santa Monica, you might get a little mad. Like there are certain people on Twitter that are like, Waymo needs to be gotten rid of in Los Angeles because of this. But when you listen to what really happened, you might have a different take. For more, we go to CBS LA.
Now at 4, a child hit by a Waymo self-driving car near a Santa Monica elementary school.
Now that child is okay, and the incident is being investigated. CBS LA's Joy Benedict speaking with parents this afternoon who say they're confident Waymos are safe.
Oh, the parents are even like, yeah, this, wasn't Waymo's fault.
Pickup and drop-off outside an elementary school can be chaotic.
Any school. I have to drive past a high school every day to get home. And I happen to, because of the time this show ends, I end up at that high school right when pickup time is, and it is a nightmare.
But at this Santa Monica...
What happened to letting your kids walk home?
But at this Santa Monica school Friday morning, it also turned dangerous.
It was very scary. Thank God everyone's okay.
Parents heard quickly that a 10-year-old child was struck by a Waymo autonomous car.
Don't react yet. Don't react yet.
But if it was a regular car, a regular person, they may not have been able to stop as quickly as the Waymo.
Did you hear that? The Waymo was able to stop way quicker than the reaction time of somebody who's staring at their phone.
It happened around 8:30 in the morning on this residential road. A neighbor snapped this photo after the fact as the Waymo had stopped and waited for police.
Waymos don't hit and run.
Waymo released a statement saying, in part, our technology immediately detected the individual as soon as they began to emerge from behind the stopped vehicle.
This kid ran out in the middle of the street. And apparently he did it because he thought, oh, the Waymo's going to stop.
The Waymo driver braked hard, reducing speed from approximately 17 miles per hour to under 6 miles per hour before contact was made.
Kid wasn't hurt. So that's also something to know. But the kid who was testing the reflexes of the Waymo learned the hard way that, yes, the Waymo will stop, but maybe not in time to completely stop.
Waymo's technology alerted 911. The child was seen by...
Look at that. The robot car stops and waits for police and calls 911. Interesting.
Waymo's technology alerted 911. The child was seen by paramedics, but wasn't hurt.
I think that those types of incidents are going to happen. Lots of cars have incidents with people in them. Some of them are driven by robots.
Emery Izat lives across the street from where the accident happened and also has a 10-year-old.
Children have been talking to each other like, oh, well, the robot's better at stopping than people, so it's okay.
So let's not make the new TikTok trend, run out in front of a Waymo and see if it stops. Look, kids are dumb. I was a dumb kid. I almost got hit by a car once because I decided when I was on a bicycle trying to go to Best Buy in Canyon Country that it would be easier for me to cross the street that doesn't have the crosswalk. Otherwise, I'd have to cross 3 different crosswalks. This was on Bouquet Canyon and is it still called San Fernando Road? I don't think it is anymore. Now it's called like Newhall Avenue. But I decided to cross a street at the busiest intersection in the city of Santa Clarita, and a car almost hit me. And I was around 10 or 11, and I was probably 12. Kids are dumb, but let's stop this one right away. Don't jump out in front of a Waymo.
Children have been talking to each other like, oh, well, the robot's better at stopping than people, so it's okay. You can just step in front of it.
And although we don't know what prompted the child to go into the street, the Santa Monica Police Department says had there been a driver, they wouldn't have been at fault. Writing in a statement, the student entered the roadway outside the available crosswalk and away from the on-duty crossing guard. And although the debate...
Even if it was a driver... The kid jumped out in the middle of the road.
And although the debate will surely continue about where and when autonomous vehicles should be used, these parents say in this incident, they're glad it was a robot in charge of the brakes.
I think it's the way of the future and maybe safer than a driver. We don't know.
We're in an age where we're going to have to.
So there you go. Aren't you glad you waited to hear the whole story before you reacted to that headline? This is the kind of critical thinking that we're trying to give you every single day. We got one more hour to go. It's Randy Wang on The John Phillips Show. Oh, that rhymed.